Hello, and thank you for joining me for today's video tutorial. I have a really fun watercolor technique to share with you. But first, I need to do a random drawing for giving away one of these cards. I said on both Facebook and on YouTube that I would be giving one of these cards away to someone who left a comment, and also asking which was their favorite. And the one that is on top with the snowflake was the favored card, but I only have one of them, so I will be giving that away to Laura Pepe. So if Laura Pepe, you would please, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, if you would please message me at rosiescrapper@gmail.com. That is my email address, and this card is what I'm going to be sending to you. I thought I was showing the random generator on the screen, but apparently I was not, and I apologize. So I'd love to send that to you, Laura Pepe, if you will private message me with your address so I can get that into the mail. I'm going to be decorating the inside and the envelope for you as well. On Facebook later tonight, I will be doing a live, and we'll be choosing one of the other cards. I'll just let that person, whoever gets picked on Facebook, I'll just let them pick which one of the other cards from that video they would like to receive in the mail. So here is what I am doing today in today's video tutorial. This card was done last night, and I have a couple different versions I'd like to show you using Happiness Abounds. I saw the idea from, I believe, Tattered Rose is the name of the blog. I will try to find that and put it in the link below so that you can go and see the original. She uses a different stamp, and of course I'm using Stampin' Up stamps and inks, and I think she was using other brands. So the way this works is, I believe I'm going to moisten the watercolor paper. So this is a piece of our Fluid 100 watercolor paper. And I'm also using, see, there's the Happiness Abounds. You need a line art for this technique. And I am going over my watercolor paper very lightly, not getting it super wet at all. You don't want it too wet, but I don't want it bone dry either. So just a little bit of bleed. Most of the bleed that I'm going to get is going to come from the actual stamp. So I have a silicone mat here, and that ink is dried on there, and I could re-ink it with just some water, but I'm going to go ahead and add some more ink. So I'm using Orchid Oasis, Tahitian Tide, and Pumpkin Pie. So I'm just direct to the silicone mat, the ink pad, and then here's the Tahitian Tide. And finally, the Pumpkin Pie. This is a brand new pumpkin pie. I finally just had to get a new one. It wasn't going to be re-inked anymore. And that happens. I've had those pads for a long time. So I have one of our water spritzers. So I'm just going to spritz those piles of paper or piles of ink. And taking the stamp directly into the ink and kind of blending the two colors together. I went pretty much right in the center. Now those bubbles will go away. And now using another one of the flowers, just kind of tucking them together as a bouquet. and a third image, fitting that right into that spot. Now I'll be using the leaf sprig from the same stamp set. Just kind of dipping it into the wet spots. And then I'll immediately stamp again, trying to make those look like they're connected. And another one down here. And up there. I feel like there could be a little bit more, so I'm going to come off the corners a little bit with another flower. I feel like I've just got too much in the center, and I wanted this more of a background piece because I will be putting a greeting on top of it. So a portion of the rose and then a portion of the leaves. And grabbing a different flower for another corner. Now, alternatively, if you wanted to use a large sheet of watercolor paper, you could just stamp all over the watercolor sheet, you know, like a stamped background or one sheet wonder, and then cut it apart. The Stampin' Up! Paper doesn't come that large, but I know you all go to the craft store, right? All right, so before I put my splatters of pumpkin pie, I believe I decided to dry the background. Yep, there's the heat tool. So did I mention that I was without sound for a while until finally somebody told me that I was without sound? And then I had to stop and fiddle and find the sound, which I was able to do, thankfully. Kind of ruined the live, but on this pseudo replay, I've added I think what I was pointing out there was like the edges of where you dry, where the puddles get dried, and then you see the edges of it, like the dark edges of the puddles. I love that about watercolor, which you can get if you naturally dry it, but I seem to always get it when I use the heat tool. So now I'm using my medium water painter, and there's quite a bit of water on there, and I will just splattering it onto my image. And it always helps if you turn your image when you're splattering, so you don't have the splatters up kind of like always going in one direction. Wanted some bigger splatters. So now I'm just gonna drop a little few bits of that pumpkin pie into some of the centers of the roses and onto the leaves. Now I'll be showing you one a little later where I did a lot of painting, where I was just kind of pulling in the puddles of color and then also painting with a little bit of this pumpkin pie. So I get lots of variations of color. When the pumpkin pie goes on really light, it's a really beautiful color of yellow. There, I think that just really makes it pop more, adds a little more vibrancy to that focal image. So drying off the paint splatters and spots with the heat tool so I can get those nice edges to those puddles. And I think I'll cut out this part. So here's a nice close-up. Take a look at what those splatters did to the background and to the roses. I love the way that turned out. By the way, I should have a link below to show what blog post I was inspired by. It was a different company stamp and different company of inks, but I was definitely inspired by the artist at, I think it's Tattered Rose is the name of the blog. So here's the one I did originally, and here's another one that I did where I drew the color in before I dried it and kind of painted. And I also had a third color of Mossy Meadow. So you can see how Mossy Meadow combines with the pumpkin pie. It makes it a little more brown. And I like the way that turned out. And I'll be using that background. I might add a little bit to it. But then I decided for the video I wanted to keep it simple, but I really love the way this turned out as well. So I think I'll use this one, and I just need to choose a color for the background. So here I'm auditioning pumpkin pie. Here is the Orchid Oasis. I think Orchid Oasis is the way I want to go for this card. I didn't think that the pumpkin pie added to it. I thought the Orchid Oasis was a really nice background. So I'm taking an 8.5 by 11 sheet of Orchid Oasis and trimming that at 5.5. So let's fold this carefully in half and crease with a bone folder to get a nice, crisp, professional crease. Which even if you have a score tool on your trimmer, I think that a bone folder helps it lay flat and helps it look more professional. So I have some pre-cut pieces of basic white for my layering and for the inside of my cards. So I am going to go ahead and stamp on the basic white using the same technique. So I just need to re-wet my ink. I wouldn't recommend the basic white, but as you see, it will work. You just can't get too much water. You have to be careful about the amount of water that you would get on your basic white, because it will kind of pile up and warp a little. So definitely watercolor paper is my preferred, but for writing and greeting, I don't want to write on watercolor paper. I want to write on basic white. So I added a large rose and 2 leaves. That makes for a beautiful inside. There we go. All right. So let me go ahead and now this is dry. I didn't have to use the heat tool. So a little bit of liquid adhesive for the inside. And let's grab this one. I think I'll put it on like that. And I don't know exactly what I'm going to do with the greeting, but I think I'm going to, I think I want this up on dimensionals. So let me grab this piece of paper that I've been squirting and wipe that off. I'm going to put this on dimensionals. So if you are watching this on the replay, I may download this and try to add some sound. I probably will just take it off, add some sound in the beginning for where you couldn't hear me. But I would love if you would, if you liked this technique, if you would give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel and would like to see more video inspiration with Stampin' Up product, go ahead and subscribe so that you, and hit the notification bell so that you can join me live. We can chat. I can hear about your craft adventures. And then if I have inspired you in any way to try this technique, I'd love for you to share what you have done over at Rosie Scrapper Stampers. It's a Facebook group. And let's see if we can find a die cut that would look beautiful for a greeting for this. Let's see, what do we have here? Oh, these are beautiful. I probably need more birthday than any, so let me see if I can find a die cut that would be nice for that happy birthday. That would look beautiful right there, wouldn't it? Hey, Jonies. Let's see. Jonies Not So Fast Life. Cool. Thank you, Joni. So let's see. This one might work. Let's see if that's long enough. That is not long enough. If there was something maybe that you missed in the beginning that you would like to ask me about, please let me know while I'm sorting through this. I should have done this before, I realize. I apologize. That one is long enough, but it's really long. Would that one work? I don't think that is long enough either, but maybe I'll just change the grading. Oh, it will barely fit, and then like those ends would be cut off, but I think we could handle that, right? Okay, so let me grab a piece of scrap paper. Need something wide though, don't I? That should work. And I think in black. Squeeze it in. I'm gonna. I don't think I've ever stamped with this stamp before, so I'm gonna make my first one on, just in case there was any residue. All right, letting that soak in there. Oh, that came out pretty. Pretty. All right. Yep, we're squeezing it in. All right, I need a piece of tape to hold that down, but it's brand new tape and I don't want it to stick or ruin my paper, so stick it on my arm and get some of the sticky off of there. All right, let me grab the mini.
So, Joni, I don't recognize your name as having joined me on a live before. Have you ever joined me on a live? It's lovely to have you. Thanks for saying hello. That is pretty bright, isn't it? That's okay. All right, let's add that with dimensionals, and I'm going to see about adding a little bit of bling. Oh, here's the dimensionals that I was already using. Bling or ribbon, or, in knowing me, both, right? Oh, nice. Cool. So what kind of crafting do you do? Thanks. It's a little crooked, but hey, it's a handmade card, right? All right, so I just got these in the mail this week. So Joni, do you stamp with Stampin' Up products? Or are you new to Stampin' Up as well? All right, let's see how. I think that's probably, these are slightly different. What are these colors on here? It's not gonna say right here, but I like that bright blue. And then maybe another few bright blue ones. Okay, I'm going to switch these two around because I feel like, I just feel like it. I feel like it needs to be switched around. It had something to do with these two lining up in the same color. Okay, I feel better about that. Card making all together. Nice. Okay, cool. Yeah, it's really a fun craft. All right, so here is the finished product. And you know what, while I'm at it, and I have the silicone sheet covered with ink, I'm going to go ahead and see how the envelope handles the wet stamping. So I think I have an envelope handy here. Yes, I do. So let's see how that works out. Again, I'll just re-wet it. Okay, out of the way. And the desk is getting messy. Pretty. Let's do one right there. Oh, so I had a lot of water, so when I lifted it up, it splattered a little bit, but I'm not going to be mad about that. That does need to be set aside to dry. Actually, let me put it here so you can see it in the final shot. And then here's the one we made together today. I don't know how I'll finish that. And then here's the one that I showed you and talked about painting in and adding that third color, that mossy meadow. All right, so thank you so much for joining me. If you were inspired at all, if you would kindly give me a thumbs up, that's really helpful, as well as are your comments. I've just started playing around. I love, yes, me too. I feel so inadequate with watercolors, but you know, once you start playing with them, they really turn out beautiful. And I think that this card turned out beautiful. All right, thanks you guys for joining me. Bye.